An estimated 15,000 children are diagnosed with cancer in this country every year, according to the National Cancer Institute. And that, of course, makes the need for research and clinical trials even more important.
KCBD News Channel 11's Dylan Villa tells us how a recent grant looks to accomplish that in significant ways for West Texas and the rest of the country.
Dr. Erin Barr is a pediatric hematologist-oncologist who's been a part of Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center for the past 8 years. Her goal is to conduct important cancer research in the hopes of providing children the best care possible. The Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas recently awarded Dr. Barr $1.4 million, paving the way for future success in this goal.
We've been able to build pediatric cancer expertise here at Texas Tech, both clinically and in the labs, and collaborating to bring out new drugs. And this award is really going to help us build and expand on the clinical trials through organizations like the Children's Oncology Group that we can offer patients locally in West Texas.
Those new drugs will turn into new novel therapies for kids with cancer. Dr. Patrick Reynolds, a physician scientist with TTUHSC, is one of those taking part in those efforts here at home and knows the need for having these trials.
We recognize the need to fund not just people in the laboratory doing research, but people that are actually doing clinical trials. And so it's an important advance that CPRIT has focused on that. CPRIT is also very focused on making sure that childhood cancer is well funded, something that is underfunded nationally.
Dr. Reynolds also says this grant will look to bring and retain the best clinical investigators into the regions of Texas that don't have them.
There are tons of them in Houston and Dallas, but there are very, very few Erin Barrs out in West Texas.
Lastly, this grant is allowing West Texas families the opportunity to get the best care at home instead of having to travel long distances for the best care possible. Dr. Barr feels it's something that speaks volumes about the impact that could be made with this kind of funding.
West Texas is, doing great things on a national scale, but also helping those people who help get us where we're going as well.
These drugs that are currently in development can make a huge impact as they look to make the market and be accessible to everyone nationwide. Dylan Villa, KCBD News Channel 11.
Exciting news. Thank you, Dylan.